Yeah, once again, very good morning and thanks for joining. First of all, once again, happy Diwali. Thanks for joining today. Okay, last session we built complete Windows infrastructure. So we built three VMs. One is domain controller VM, and it is also acting as a DNS, and it is also acting as a sandbox. Okay, in real world, we'll create the differently. Okay, being we don't have any sandbox, we use ISCS initiator to build the shared disk. Okay, now we are almost ready to build the Windows failover cluster. We are almost ready to build the Windows failover cluster. Now all three servers are working as a independent. All three servers are working as a independent. Now let's go and start the build the Windows failover cluster. First, to build the Windows failover cluster, make sure that you need to install Failover Cluster Manager in all participated servers. How many servers are going to part of Windows Failover Cluster? Either it can be 2-node cluster, 3-node cluster, 4-node cluster, 5-node cluster. How many nodes you are going to be in part of that cluster? Make sure that you need to install Failover Cluster Manager. Make sure that you need to install Failover Cluster Manager. So if you search for Failover Cluster Manager. Okay, so you need to find the failure cluster manager in all participants. This is the one of the major prerequisites. If you wanted to build this server as part of cluster, means if you want to do this server need to be part of cluster. So make sure that you need to install failure cluster manager. So in all participated servers, how many servers are going to part of cluster? All the servers must and should get failure cluster manager. And once we already built the failure cluster manager yesterday, last session we installed it, right? Now this server we are making as a cluster VM. This server we are going to make as a cluster VM. Now from this server we will build the Windows failure cluster. So but this server is not part of cluster, sir. Here it is just for creation, okay, monitoring purpose, that purpose only. This server is a traditional VM only, but this from this server you are going to build the Windows failure cluster. Is this mandatory, Subbu? No need, sir. Okay, but as per the best practices, most of the people what we will do, right? So we will build one cluster VM for configuration, monitoring, failover, failback, troubleshooting. Many things we can do from the cluster VM. Many things we can do for cluster VM. In case if any SQL related issue, you will go to the physical server and we'll try to fix the SQL related stuff. Most of the cluster related stuff we can do from the cluster VM itself. So this is the cluster VM. This is the cluster VM. From this VM only we are going to build the Windows failover cluster. So make sure that what are the major prerequisites, sir? What are the one major prerequisites? How many VMs are going to part of the cluster? How many VMs are going to part of cluster? Make sure that all the VMs must and should install failure cluster manager. Is it first point clear? Okay, that is the one thing. Next thing, what? So how many nodes are going to be part of cluster? Okay, so here in my point of view, only two nodes are going to be in part of cluster. Here, only two nodes are going to part of cluster. So first you should get how many nodes cluster it is. It's a two node cluster, three node cluster, four node cluster. How many node cluster it is? So first make sure that you need to get how many node cluster it is. In my point of view, only it's a two node cluster. In real world, it may change to two node cluster, three node cluster, four node cluster. Okay. First, you need to build the Windows failure cluster. To build the Windows failure cluster, you must and should get information related how many nodes are going to part of cluster. Okay, in here it's a two node, so I know all the two node information. Next thing, you need to you need to get the cluster name. You need to get the cluster name, and you need to get the cluster IP address. You need to get the cluster IP address. So make sure that failure cluster manage need to be installed. Okay, and you need to get the cluster name. You need to get the cluster IP address. So these are the major three things. So we'll go step by step. We'll go step by step so that you will get to know what are the all prerequisites you need to build complete SQL cluster. to build complete SQL on cluster, what are the major prerequisites? We'll discuss one by one. First, let's build the Windows Failover cluster. To build the Windows Failover cluster, we need make sure that all the VMs details, you need to get the VM details. All the VMs need to be installed Windows Failover cluster manager. Next is you need to get the cluster name. Next is you need to get the cluster IP address. Cluster IP address. Now from cluster VM, I'm going to build the Windows Failover cluster. Now let's open Windows Failover cluster. Failover cluster manager. So, or you can search for, okay, so you can just go to the run, sorry, go to the run and you can find the clueadmin.msc. If you type clueadmin.msc, clueadmin, okay, .msc. Either you can search for Failover cluster manager or you can just type clueadmin.msc. It will open a new wizard. It will open a new wizard. See, the wizard has been enhanced in Windows Server 2012. The wizard has been enhanced in Windows Server 2012. So if you go for Windows Failover cluster, okay, in 2008, okay, OS. OS. If you go for Windows Failover cluster 2008, the wizard will be little different, okay, little different. So here, not this is also latest in Windows Server. Windows Server 2008.
Yeah, you are
Still,
giving 28, Subbu.
oh, sorry, sorry. Thank you. Okay, not this one. Come on. Yes. See, the wizard looks like this. So when you go for Windows Server 2008, so if you are trying to build the Windows Server 2008, okay, on 2008, the wizard will be little different. Okay, little different. But from Windows Server 2012 onwards, Microsoft has been enhanced the wizard as well. Okay. Now see, when you open in Windows Server 2012 from Windows Server, you won't get chance to build on Windows Failure Cluster on 2008, 2008 R2 servers or 2005. Okay. So no more because all the support has been stopped by Microsoft. Even 2012 also Microsoft has been stopped the support. Now when you open the failure cluster manager, here you will see the failure cluster manager. In the right hand side you will see the validate configuration, create cluster, connect to the cluster. Validate configuration, create cluster, connect to the cluster. Here you can create the cluster, you can connect to the cluster, you can validate the configuration. Once we create, so we'll see the difference. So the creation is same in Windows Server 2008 before, 2012 before, and now also it's same. But the name will be changed, the object name will be changed. What is that change? Let's go and build the cluster. Then we'll see the what is the change you will noticed. Okay. Now, before I know about my server information. I know what cluster name I need to provide. I know what cluster IP address I need to provide. Okay. Now I'm ready to configure the cluster. I am ready to configure the cluster. But before you go and create a cluster, first thing, make sure that you need to validate the configuration. Okay. You need to validate the configuration. This is the one of the mandatory thing. Okay. Be, even when you are going to create also, it will ask you to validate. Okay. But before you go and create a cluster, first try to validate. In case if notice any validation failure, you can try to reach out to the Windows team. Sometimes you will get a chance to create a cluster. May much more time you Windows team will build a Windows failure cluster and hand over to the SQL team. They will build the Windows failure cluster and they will hand over to the SQL team. But you may also get a chance to build the Windows failure cluster. If you get a chance to build the Windows failure cluster, if you get a chance to build the Windows failure cluster, how you are going to build the cluster? So make sure that how many nodes are going to part of cluster, and each node you must and should install failure cluster manager. Okay, and you need to get the cluster name. get the cluster IP address. As of now, just make a note on. We are we need to remember many things. I will discuss one by one, and I will also share the material. Okay. Now let's go on first to validate the cluster. Before I go and create a cluster, let's validate. Once you click on validate configuration, you will get the new wizard to validation purpose. Okay. Then click on next and provide what servers are going to part of cluster, right? Provide the server details. So you can provide, if you know the server name, so node 1 hyphen SQL, comma, node 2 hyphen SQL. If you know, you can just provide, okay, all the server names, comma, comma, and just click on add. Click on add. So you no need to go for browse, provide the server name. Okay, click on search. You no need to do anything. So what you can do, just provide all the server names. Just provide all the server names by specifying comma and just click on add. The servers will be added into the wizard. So once all the servers are being added, whatever the servers, then click on next. Okay, click on next. So it will show you run all the tests recommended, run only tests I selected. So mostly it will test the repository, it will test the inventory, nothing but inventory. It will test the network, it will test the storage, it will test the configuration. Okay, so configuration. So better first time you are going to build, right? Means you are going to build the Windows failover cluster, right? So let's go and do perform all the tests which cluster recommending. Then click on next. Okay, so it is testing the inventory. I told you, right? It will test the inventory, it will test the network, it will test the storage, it will test the configuration. These are the four categories it will perform. While it is doing, it will do the failover, failback, all the stuff it will do. It will validate everything. In case if it throw an error, if something is you not properly configured, it will throw an error. So first we need to fix the error before we go and configure the cluster. Otherwise your cluster will be failed. Cluster creation will be failed. Make sure that your validation should be success. Or warning also fine, sir, but it should not be error, it should not be failed. Click on next. It will take some time, okay, to perform all the tests. It will do n number of tests and it will finally provide the report for us. Okay, finally provide the report for us. Okay, it will take some time. Maximum we done everything perfect only. It won't throw any errors. Okay, it will ask us to proceed to create the cluster. Cluster won't take that much time. Okay, creation won't take that much time. Just validation will take little time. So it need to validate everything, right? So validation is a mandatory, Subbu. If you think that you've done everything perfect, sometimes you can ignore, but better run the validation, sir, so that you get to know everything is perfect. You get to know everything is perfect. So let's validate. So what we done means meanwhile, okay. So I just you already know how to install SSMS. I don't want to repeat the same thing, sir. And I just downloaded the setup file. Okay, Windows Server 2000, SQL Server 2019. Okay, so let's. So I just downloaded the Windows Server 2019 and I just installed SSMS, sir. Apart from nothing else I done. Okay. Now see disks are always moving. So now currently all the disks are in node 1, node 1. If you open node 1, you will able to see the node 1 because disks are moving from node 1 to node 2. Okay. Now okay, see it will move from here to here, there, node 1 to node 2, node 2 to node 1. It will do multiple checks, sir. Okay. So when it is doing the validation, so nothing, don't get anything. Okay. So it is just running the validation. So it will validate the failover, failbacks, all the stuff, and it will finally provide the report for us. It will check, I told you, right? It will check the inventory, it will check the storage, it will check the network, along with it will check the system configurations.
So we have given all the three servers name for validation or
Sir, this server you know it, sir. Only these two servers are going to part of cluster. Okay, this server is just a traditional VM where you are going to use to build a cluster, to monitor the cluster, to do some failover, failbacks, all the stuff from this server. Okay, this server is not part of cluster, no.
okay. So we have given only two servers to validate.
Yes, two servers only.
And we are running the wizard from the DC, correct? Command control server.
Your voice is not that much clear, Vijay.
No, I mean,
Now
wizard
it's
we are
okay.
running from domain controller, correct? Wizard
No,
we are running from.
forget about this domain controller server. Treat this like a cluster server, sir. Now
Okay,
you need
from
to
there
treat
we
this
are.
like yes,
Okay, from there we are running the wizard. Okay.
right. So from this
Thank you.
now, forget about domain controller server, DNS server, SAN server, everything. Forget. Now this is a cluster VM. Okay. Now it's a cluster VM. From this cluster VM, we are going to build the complete configuration, monitoring, failover, failback. Okay. So you can add, you can do many things, sir, from
Okay.
cluster server.
I believe we can run wizard from any of the nodes also, correct?
Any node you can run it. Okay. But
Okay.
rather than these are all the production servers, right? So try to run in the cluster server only because you already created a dedicated cluster server, right? You dedicatedly created a cluster server for monitoring failover, failback, to add the cluster, to remove the nodes. To if you want to do all the things, you can do it from the cluster VM itself. Until unless you really need, you will go to the server. Got it, Vijay?
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we will do today? So we will build the Windows failure cluster. We almost there. We will build the Windows failure cluster. We will configure quorum. Okay, disk quorum will configure today. Okay, today we'll configure disk quorum, and we will install the SQL server, sir, so that tomorrow we'll have a lot of time to discuss more theoretical parts. Okay, we'll just complete the installation today. Tomorrow we'll discuss more end-to-end, many concepts. Okay, we'll go in each and every property. Okay, it's showing warnings, sir. No problem. It's not failed. Okay. So see, we validated only, Vijay. I told you, right? We validated only two nodes because these two nodes only going to part of cluster, not cluster VM. Cluster VM is just a traditional VM, sir. Okay. Just a traditional VM. Okay. Now it validated see, if you click on view report, you will get the finally one report. You need to do this validation, sir. Okay. Definitely. It's a mandatory, like a best practice, I can say. If you do the validation, see it will check the inventory, it will check the networks, it will check the storage, it will check the system configuration. So we are all our success, and it's showing us a warning. Okay, warning. No worries, sir. Warnings are you can ignore. Nothing it will stop, but it should not be any uh, errors, fails. Okay, In case if you see the errors, if you see the fails, you need to go and do the troubleshooting. So in real world, we'll go and talk to the Windows team, we'll go and talk to the storage team, we'll go and talk to the network team. Hey, we are having this. When we run the validation report, it thrown error. Can you please have a look on this? Can we have a look on this? But in case in your organization you are the only one person who need to do everything, that is the biggest challenge, sir. Even one or two students are doing many things like last batch, yeah, last batch or last batch, one of student. He's the only one guy who is doing everything. So he build complete infrastructure from scratch level on his environment. He faced lots of challenges. Okay, and finally, uh, is stable. Finally, the application is stable, SQL is stable. Okay, Sai helped a lot, myself helped a lot. Okay, finally it got stable. So in case if you also get a same level of chance, okay, from the scratch level, don't hesitate to Sai, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Okay, at any time, because sometimes you will see little challenges. Okay, anyhow we will also build the on-prem servers as well. Okay, on-prem servers as well. So that time you will see what is the difference you will see when you are going to build the on-prem, what is the difference you will see when you are going to build in the cloud as well. Okay, please keep it a note, everyone. So almost similar, sir. Only the VMs will be configuration will be different. Almost similar how you are going to build a cluster. Same how you will build always in the on-prem as well. There is no much difference. So once you open the report, okay, this is how the details you can find it. Take the screenshot and share the report via email and tell them, hey, this is the warning I'm getting. This is the sorry, this is the error I'm getting. This is the failed I'm getting. Can you please have a look on it? So in case if it got failed, so please be careful when you are going to build the networks, all the stuff. Now I don't want you to click on finish here. If you click on finish again, you need to go and click on create cluster. Instead of doing that one, now I can click here, create the cluster now using this validated nodes. I already validated, sir. Why I need to click on finish? Okay. Now better you can do. See, for example, let me explain in different scenarios, sir. Okay. Uh, for example, uh, over the weekend you got a chance. You need to build a Windows Failover cluster over the weekend, not today, sir. Okay. Uh, do the validation before the activity starts, sir. Okay, 1 day or 2 day before, because if you're not doing validation and assume Saturday you are going to start the activity at 9 a.m. You are going to start the activity at the 9 a.m. You started the validating. Our days, our bad days are on that day, and it thrown error. Okay. Now, for example, no one is available on that day. You are only one person who is working. No Windows team, no network team, no storage team. That will also become the escalation on us, sir. So if you are doing any activity over the weekends, so first get some information what activity it is. Okay, I need to build a Windows failure cluster. Okay, let's run the validation by today itself. In case if any error, I can fix. I am having one more week time. So one more week, one more week. Next week, Saturday, I need to build a Windows failure cluster. You are having one more week so that you can fix all the issues within 1 week itself. So if you're not doing that validation, if you're directly going for activity, that is also become challenge for us, sir. So better do the validation early as possible before activity starts. Okay, in case any errors, anything, so you are having lot of time to fix the issues. I hope you got my point, what I mean to say, everyone. Okay, so now my validation is ready. Everything is healthy. Now let's go and click on finish, sir. It will open this wizard. See, create cluster wizard. Okay, create cluster. Both are same, sir. If you click on without checking that box, if you click on finish and you can click on create cluster, both are same. But again, it will prompt you to do the validation. But you've been already done the validation. I don't want again go and create the cluster. Let it be using this validation report. Let's go and create a cluster, sir. Okay. Now click on next. This wizard will allow us to create. Now see, sir. Basically, when you are working with on-prem, when you are going to build the on-prem, sir, in on-prem, if you are going to build in the hypervisor or Oracle VirtualBox or VMware. Okay, it will prompt you to provide the IP address. It will prompt you to provide the IP address. But when you are going to do in the cloud, it is dynamically fetching the IP address, sir. DHCP is dynamically fetching the IP address. Okay, but later on you need to go and change the IP address. So once it create a cluster, we will go and change the cluster IP address, sir. But it is dynamically fetching the IP address, fetching the IP address. Later on, you will go and change whatever IP address you want to do, set it for the cluster. What IP address you want to set it for cluster, you can change it later on. Okay, it is dynamically fetching the IP address. So you need cluster name, you need cluster IP address. So before I go and create it, sir, let's open dsa.msc. Okay, active directories are once. Okay, what changes I will see in active directory? What changes I will see in the DNS, in the DNS as well. Okay, see when I go for DNS, currently all three nodes are registered. In the active directory, only two nodes are, because this is the domain controller server side. No need to worry. So node one, node two, node one, node two. Both nodes are available here. All the nodes along with the VM also, DC also available. Now let's go and create a cluster, sir. Okay, now what I'm going to do, batch 43 clue. Okay, batch 43 clue. I'm just providing batch 43 for clue. Easily we can recognize this is our, okay, this cluster name, sir. This is our cluster name. Click on next. Here you need to provide the IP address, sir, but it is dynamically fetching. Okay, later on you can go and change the IP address, whatever you want, you decide to set. You means your network team, whatever the application team provided the IP address for cluster, right? You need to set that IP address. Click on next. Okay. Now see, sir, this is your cluster name. These are the nodes are going to part of cluster, and it is registering in the DNS. Also, it is registering in the active directory. Very, very careful, sir. Your cluster is going to register in the DNS, in the DNS. Okay, along with it is registering in the active directory. And this is dynamically fetching the IP address. Later on, you can go and change it and add all eligible storage to the cluster. So this is the checkbox you need to do, because you are going to install C::cluster. Very, very, very important points are you need to remember. You are installing C::cluster. You are installing C::cluster. You need to add all the storage to the cluster. You need to add all the storage to the cluster. When you are going to install always on, I will tell you should not select this option, sir. This is little dangerous option. As of now, you are going to install C::cluster. You need to select this option. Okay, and let's go and see the storage as well, sir. Currently your storages are under node 2. Currently all your storages are on node 2. And see, sir, your disk icon, it's like a traditional disk. It's all like a traditional disk. See, it's all like a traditional disk. It's all like traditional disk. Now let's wait, sir. Once I build the cluster, okay. Now you need to select this option, because you are going to install C::cluster. C::cluster. Okay, select this option and click on next. Apart from nothing else you need to do, sir. Okay, it will form a cluster. It will form a cluster. It is forming a cluster, sir. Okay, let's form a cluster. And what is my IP address, sir? Just I need to get my IP address, right? I need to provide my one IP address to the cluster, right? Dedicated IP address. What is my IP address range I selected? Subnet 10.1.1. Okay, let it be, sir. How many are connected currently? Currently 3 connected. 10.1.4, 10.1.1.5, 10.1.6. From DNS also I can see the name, sir. Okay, my cluster is ready. Okay, my cluster is ready, sir. Uh, my cluster is ready. Click on finish. Okay, click on finish. Are you able to see the cluster? Everyone? Everyone able to see the cluster? You can expand the cluster. You will see the roles. You will see the nodes. So currently, node 2 is down, sir. Okay. Why? Because what happened means, whatever the IP allocated to the node 2, whatever the IP allocated to node 2, if you refresh this, sir, let's refresh. Okay, let's refresh. See, whatever the IP address is allocated to node 2, same IP address has been took by cluster. This is the problem, sir, when you are going to build the uh, cluster, okay, dynamic with the dynamic IP address. What it is doing, whatever the IP address which is allocated to the node 2, same IP address has been allocated for the cluster, sir. That's the problem. So now first, what you need to do, go and change the cluster IP address, sir, immediately. Go to the network, go to the network, go to the properties of the network. Okay, sorry, not here. Go to the cluster property, go to the cluster property. We'll discuss all the properties, sir, tomorrow. We'll talk more theoretical part tomorrow and after tomorrow we'll talk more theoretical part. Come on here. Why it's taking a lot of time? See, sir, all the disk has been changed, right? Everyone? Earlier, this is how your disk icon looks like. Now, once we build complete cluster and all the disk being part of cluster, now disk icons has been changed in the form of sandbox. Agree, everyone? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one difference you will notice, sir. Okay, now, okay, go to instead of this, okay, let's go to the cluster. Okay, open the cluster, sir. Let's go to expand the cluster name. Okay, there will be cluster IP address. Right click, go to the properties. Okay, now instead of dynamic IP address, I'm going for static IP address, and I'm setting for 10, sir. 10 dot. Okay, let's go for 15. Let's go for 15. 10.1.1.15, sir. I'm going for. I don't want to go for dynamic IP address. I need to go for static IP address. Okay, let's go and change the static IP address and then click on OK. Just click on OK, sir. And I need to bring the node 2 to healthy. No, currently node 2 is down from cluster. Click on yes. Click on yes. So it is changing. It will stop the cluster and it will start the cluster once again. Okay, now my cluster is healthy. Go to node 2. Okay, let's bring the node 2 is also healthy, sir. Let's bring the node 2 to. Uh, I need to stop it. I think so. That's a problem. One second. One second, sir.
Can we give all to static also? That is also possible, no?
Sorry. No, sorry. What you were saying?
We can also give all the nodes also to static, but
All are static only, sir. All are static only. Okay, all are static only currently. But when you are going to create a cluster, that's sometimes that's a problem. Okay, so it is taking dynamically, right? It will take any one of this IP address. Let's refresh. Come on. Restart is done. Let's go and verify. Now see, sir, node is coming online. Now it is joining. See, node is coming online and node is joining, and it will up, sir. Only the problem we know the problem, sir. This is the problem you will notice when you are especially working with the cloud platform. It is fetching the dynamic IP address. So better Microsoft need to go for static. Okay, sometimes that's the problem. Now all my nodes are healthy. My VMs are healthy. Everything is healthy, sir. Now, okay.
In DNS also it will automatically like take the IP what we have.
Now if you refresh, sir, now it will update the dynamic. In DNS also it is updated. See, 10.1.1.15. And when you go to the Active Directory also, you will see your cluster. See, whatever the cluster you created, okay, whatever the cluster you created, are you able to see the cluster name, everyone, in the Active
Yes.
Directory? So it is registering in Active Directory. It is also registering in the DNS. When you are going to create a cluster, what is happening in the backend, sir? Backend, it is updating the information in the Active Directory. It is also updating the information in the DNS. Okay, but this is not a computer, sir. This is a virtual name. Logical, not it's a physical computer. See, under computer you are able to see, but don't think that it is physical computer. No, it's a logical name. It's a virtual name. It's a virtual name. Failover cluster virtual network name. It's a virtual network name, sir. It is not a physical computer. Okay, can I take RDP to this server? No, you can't take, sir. It's a virtual name, virtual cluster name. So whenever you configure cluster, it is updating the name into the Active Directory. Along with it is also updating in the DNS. It is also updating in the DNS. Is it clear, everyone? Yes, no. Up to this clear, sir. Any questions? Very simple, right? It's not that much complicated, sir, to build the Windows failover cluster. Make sure that how many nodes are going to part of cluster. This is very important. Okay, and you need to get the cluster name, cluster IP address. Okay, then you are good to go and configure the cluster. First portion, a small portion you've done, sir. There are many things we need to make a note down. Yes, Vijay, you are asking question.
Yeah, can you please click on no roles? So time one will be red and another will be black, green, correct?
Nothing will be there in the roles because you not yet build any roles are now currently. You just build a Windows failover cluster.
Okay.
Nothing. You not done anything, sir. Here, why you will see something is here? Nothing. You just to configure cluster. Apart from nothing else you've done. Okay.
Okay. Now see, we can see the drives are active only one node, node 1 or 2.
I will
So
explain, sir, all that stuff.
how
Okay.
we can indicate
We'll
that?
go. No, that's what we'll go one by one slowly. Okay. Wait for tomorrow, sir. You will get massive stuff. Wait for tomorrow. You'll get massive stuff, theoretical stuff. Each and every step, one by one, we'll discuss. Okay, so that you will become strong in cluster properties, everything. Okay. So once we build a cluster, sir, one thing, when you just click on here, you are able to see the cluster name. Okay, batch43clue.na.com. Here you are able to see the network name, subnets. Okay, storage direct some disable. Here you are able to see the witness, and here you are able to see the current host server. Current owner, host is nothing but owner, sir. Current owner. Who is the owner, sir? Node 1 is the owner. Currently, Node 1 is the owner. That's the reason you are able to see the disk in Node 1. All the disks are currently Node 1 because this is the owner. Okay? This is the owner. Subbu, we not yet install any SQL, right? That's the confusion you will get it, sir. Wait for tomorrow. I will clarify your doubts, many doubts by tomorrow by discussing all theoretical part. Okay? Here I am able to see the current owner. Host is nothing current owner. And here able to see the witness. You configure quorum. No, right? Till now, I haven't configured any quorum, sir. Till now, I haven't configured any quorum. But, but, but you are able to see the witness and it is showing as a disk. And it is showing a disk and it is showing disk 1. What do you mean by disk 1, sir? Which is disk 1 here? Disk 1 is currently, what is disk 1? Okay, disk 1 is nothing but backup drive. It picked any one of the disks. This all disks are mapped to the cluster. I mapped all the disks to the cluster, right? Okay, it picked any one of the disk and it is created a quorum. See, if you go to the backup drive, you will, if you go to the backup drive, you will see the folder called cluster. If you open, you will see the cluster information here. Is nothing but quorum. It created a quorum, sir. It created by default when it is forming a cluster. By default, when it is forming a cluster, by default, it will create a disk quorum. Not getting everyone. Sir,
The quorum disk we have given some other name. Is it
that's
backup
what.
one?
That's what, sir. wait for tomorrow. Okay, by default, when you are going to build a quorum, when it is forming a quorum, by default it will create a disk quorum. Is it understand or not, everyone? When it is forming a cluster, when it is forming a cluster, by default it will go to the disk quorum. Is it understand or not, everyone?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
why it is writing to
That's
this
what
drive?
sir. Forget about all the stuff. You no need to think all the stuff. First understand my question. Well, this understanding is clear or not? When it is a forming a cluster, it will pick, okay, it will create a disk quorum. Agree? Not agree?
Yeah, that I agree. But
Okay.
the
That's
number
what
of
it will go
entries
for
not
random. It
open.
will go for random. It will go for random. It will go for any one of the disk and it will create a form a cluster. Okay. Once you build a cluster, okay, now you know that what type of quorum I need to create. Okay, you can create node to node majority, you can create node to disk majority, you can create node to file share majority, you can go and create a cloud witness quorum. So we can create different types of quorum. Okay, now you need to explicitly go and create your own quorum, sir. Let it be. So it created a quorum. By default, it created one quorum when it is forming a cluster, because I told you, right, quorum contains cluster configuration information. That is the one thing. Quorum stores cluster configuration information. Quorum will tell us which node is a owner, which node is a owner. Okay. Who is telling this information? Quorum is telling information. Being this is the owner, your disks are in the node 1. Vijay, you got it? You got it? No.
Yeah, it is writing in the last drive the information.
That's
Okay.
what is not large drive, sir. It will choose any one of the drive.
Only it is taking to anyone after. Okay.
Yeah. But mostly, as you told, maybe yes, that is also one point. Whatever the disk letter will be last, it will go into that disk. Okay. Once you build the form the cluster, next step we need to do is form a quorum. You need to create a quorum, sir. Okay. Today I'm just showing how to create a disk quorum. Okay. But I am not discussing any theoretical part. Tomorrow you will get complete end-to-end theoretical about quorum, sir. Wait for tomorrow, especially for quorum. 2 points understand, sir. While it is forming a cluster, it will create a quorum. What quorum it will create? Disk quorum. And once it forming a cluster, it will tell you which node is currently owner. Okay. Why it picked node 1 is a owner, Subbu? Okay. You noticed when it is forming a cluster, it picked the IP address of node 2 and node 2 is down and it formed the cluster. Correct? Being node 2 is down, we are having only two node, right? It picked node 1 as a owner. It picked node 1 as a owner. Sir, when you are validating, it will do the failover, fail back to do all the configuration, storages, all this stuff, right? Mostly, it will pick any one of the node as a owner, but don't think this as a SQL. This is not related to SQL. This is not related to SQL owner. It is related to cluster resources owner. Okay, very, very confusion concepts are most of the experienced people will confuse here only. Tomorrow I will clarify. Don't get tense, okay? What do you mean this owner, Subbu? Means cluster resources owner. Who is holding your cluster resources, sir? Who is holding your cluster resources? Node 1 is holding cluster resources because I not install any SQL, sir. Currently, nothing is there here. Then what do you mean by active? What do you mean by passive? Nothing. Don't get confused. Don't think this is my active, this is my passive. I need to install SQL only, and here I need to install SQL. Never think that concept, sir. First, go step by step. First, you need to form a cluster. Once cluster is formed, build a quorum. What type of quorum you decided? Maybe you decided the disk majority quorum, you decided file share majority quorum, you decided cloud witness quorum. Okay. We are having different types of quorums. We are having different types of quorum. Which type you are preferring? Okay, you can go and build the quorum. Next, you will install the SQL server. Next, you will install the SQL server. So first, what I am going to do, let's build the SQL server. Let's build the quorum first. Okay, but don't get tense about this concept. Okay, this concept, sir, I will discuss tomorrow. Okay, because we want to discuss more theoretical part. Let's complete configuration tomorrow. Today, go more on the tomorrow theoretical part. More on the theoretical part tomorrow. Now I need to build a quorum. So right click on cluster, go to more action, then you will get option called configure cluster quorum settings. Cluster quorum settings. Now you can click on next. Okay, so see, use default quorum configuration, select quorum witness, advanced quorum configuration. Let's go for select the quorum witness. Again, sir, I will discuss this. I told you right tomorrow. Select the quorum witness, then click on next. So you are having quorum disk witness. Okay, configure file share witness, cloud witness. These are the three different types are available. Okay, one is disk witness, file share witness, cloud witness. Subbu, already disk witness is created, right? Okay, then why again we are going to create here now, miss? So dedicatedly, I created one disk for my quorum. Dedicatedly, I created one disk for my quorum. I need to pick that disk only for my quorum, sir. I don't want any other disk. I don't want any other disk. Whatever picked by randomly while it is forming cluster, I want to create quorum in my dedicated disk. In my dedicated disk. So I need to go for disk witness. So today I'm going to show you disk witness. I will show you file share. I will also show you cloud witness. Three I will show you, sir. Okay. Three because this is very important concept and very important interview question as well. Okay. Which witness mostly we will use in real world. Okay. They may ask you what is the most reliable witness, quorum witness type you will select. Means we'll go for file shares or mostly file share. Nowadays we are going for cloud witness. Mostly we will avoid to create the disk quorum, sir. We will avoid to create the disk quorum. Most redundant type is file share. In real world also you need to encourage the file share. And when you especially going for cloud, you need to encourage the cloud witness quorum. Okay, you should not prefer disk quorum. This is not a best practice. Disk quorum is not best practice. File share is a best practice. Cloud witness is the best practice in terms of real world. But we'll show you all three types, sir. All three type. Let's go for configure a disk witness quorum. Now click on next. Okay. Now I don't want this one, sir. Now I need to go for where is my quorum disk, sir? M for okay. This is G. What is yeah quorum. So I dedicatedly created a quorum, right? Now I am selecting cluster disk 4. Currently quorum drive is empty, sir. Nothing is available. Now once I configure cluster by automatically it will create a folder and it will try to register complete information in the quorum disk. So I don't want use any other disk, sir. Dedicatedly I created a disk. I need to store my complete cluster configuration information in the quorum disk. Now click on next. Okay, that's it, sir. Apart from nothing, just you need to select the go to the right click, go to the more action, configure quorum, go for cloud witness. So select the select the cluster witness, then select the disk witness, then click on choose the disk and just click on next, click on finish. That's it, sir. Apart from nothing else you need to do. That's it, done. Now you if you go to the disk, if you go to the disk, see sir, you will see the folder called cluster and you will get the complete cluster information will be stored in the quorum disk. Okay, is it clear how to create the disk witness quorum? Vijay, you are asking something? Now here you can see it will update the information in the cluster disk 4. Earlier it is cluster disk 1, right? I don't want to go for cluster disk 1, sir. Let it be my own disk I preferred. I went for the cluster disk 4. This is the disk witness quorum. Okay. Again, I will show you file share witness quorum. I will share you cloud witness quorum so that you will confidence on all three. What is the best Type we will use the file share quorum and cloud witness quorum.
Yeah. Now whatever was written on that Z drive is transferred to quorum drive, you mean?
Yes. Yes. So a quorum is storing complete cluster information, sir. Apart from nothing else, it is doing. Now we build the cluster, we build the quorum. So two things is done, sir. Now we are ready to install the SQL server. We are ready to install the SQL server. Any questions till now?
This quorum is storing information as a database for this cluster, I think. Correct.
Yes. Yes. Now, sir. Now, see. Now, what are the prerequisites if I want to build a cluster? Means how many nodes are going to part of cluster? It's a 2-node cluster, 3-node cluster, 4-node cluster. Okay, and you need to know active cluster, active passive cluster. What do you mean by active multiple instance? What do you active passive single instance, or it is a easily for your understanding? What are the things you need to know, make a note down? So what is my cluster name, cluster IP address, and include all the servers in part of cluster. Okay, that is also done. We done this portion, and we done this quorum as of now today. Just we build the disk quorum. Disk quorum. Okay, we build the disk quorum. Now, sir, you know already I need to build a SQL now. Now, sir, when you are going to build a SQL, okay, you are having two nodes, right? So, firstly, forget about it is a active cluster or active passive cluster. Please, sir, don't think I need to. In your mind, you are having active cluster or active passive cluster. What do you mean by active? Two instance. What do you mean two or three instance or four instance? What do you mean by active passive? Only a single instance. Single instance, sir. How many instances you are going to install? One instance or two instance? Please keep it in your mind. How many instance I need to install on top of this cluster? How many instance I need to install on top of this cluster? On top of this cluster. Now I got the information. I need to install only one instance. First I decided to install one instance. Okay. Now you will get confused. Okay. When you open the Failover cluster manager, current host is on node 1. Or means I need to install only on node 1. Okay, first you need to install on node 1, then I need to install on node 2. It's not like that, sir. Please keep it in mind. While you are installing SQL Server, don't consider this is my active node, this is my passive node. Okay, first I need to install an active node, next I need to install passive node. It's not like that, sir. You can install SQL any node. Either you can install in node 2, either you can install in node 1. Don't think first when you are installing SQL Server, okay, this is my active node. I need to install only on node 1. No, sir. Okay, it's not like that. Now see for you only I'm showing, sir. Everyone will think that okay, I need to install on node 1 because it is a owner. It is a owner. All my disks are available in node 1. Okay, all my disks are available in node 1. I need to install SQL on node 1 only. Okay? It's not like that, sir. Okay? Let's go and install on node 2. Currently, nothing is there. See, node 2, nothing is available currently. And node 2 is not a owner as well. Now, let's install SQL on node 2 first. Okay? Sir, I already downloaded the setup file. Apart from nothing else, sir, I done. You know how to download the setup file. Okay? I already downloaded the SQL Server 2019 setup file. Okay? To save our time, little time, and I install SSMS. Sir, only two things I done. One, I install SSMS. You already know, aware of this one, and you know how to download the SQL Server also. I downloaded the SQL Server, sir. Now let's open the SQL Server. Let's go to the setup file. Sir, you know what are the major prerequisites you need, correct? So what version you need, version, edition, binary file locations, data files location, log files location. Okay, you already know many things, sir. Same prerequisites. There is nothing much. But couple of additional things you need to remember, sir. That is we are going to discuss on when we are installing SQL Server. Most of the prerequisites you already know, sir. What are the major prerequisites? What version? What edition? What service accounts I need to use? Okay, and I need to go for where I need to keep my data files, log files, tempdb, backups. You already know all the stuff, sir. Uh, you already know all the stuff. Same prerequisites, uh, nothing else different. But couple of things you are going to learn additionally. What is that couple of things only we are going to discuss? Okay, because that is very important. Now I am installing SQL Server 2019 in both Node 1 and Node 2. Node 1 and Node 2 I am installing SQL Server 2019, sir. First, go to the sir. You can just run the validation if you for safety purpose. System configuration checker. You can just check the system configuration, everything is healthy or not. For just for our safety purpose, it won't take more time, sir. Okay, it won't take more time. Just it will show you report everything is healthy. Everything is healthy, sir. Then click on OK. Okay, click on OK. Then go to the installation. Sir, before I install SQL Server, you need to know one thing. Service accounts, right? Sir, when you are installing SQL on cluster, sir, you are not installing standalone. Okay, till now, while you are installing a SQL on your laptops to for practicing backups, restores, log shipping, mirroring, replication, everyone installs standalone. Everyone installs standalone. Sir, again I'm repeating, we are not going for standalone. We are going for SQL on cluster. SQL on cluster. Okay, please keep it in mind. This is something different. This is something different. Okay, but underlying concept is same, but the configuration, installation will be different, sir. The working will be little different, but most of the things are common, similar only. The architecture level, everything will be similar, but couple of configuration little bit change. That's we are going to discuss. So now you're not installing standalone, sir. You need to go for SQL on cluster. Okay, SQL on cluster. Now, sir, first point you need to remember is when you are going to perform SQL on cluster, please keep it in mind. Please keep it in mind. This is very, very important. This is very, very important. You can't install SQL on local accounts. Okay? You can't install SQL on local accounts. You must and should need the service accounts. Okay? When you are installing SQL on cluster, okay? SQL cluster. When you are installing SQL cluster, you can't install SQL services with local accounts. You need service account, sir. So first point you need to remember is you need service account. So when you go for standalone, you can install your SQL services in a local accounts, right? But here you no need, you need service accounts. You need service accounts. So for that, first I am going to create a service account, sir. Okay, let's first go and create a, sorry. First go open the dsa.msc, nothing but Active Directory, sir. Active Directory, you already know how to install Active Directory. Now you created Active Directory, right? Now go to the users, okay? Or you can better to protect our being that account is using for the service account, right? Go to the manage service account, right click, go to the new, go to the user, okay? Create a new service account, sir. Access SQL Node 1. I'm going for Access SQL Node 1. Okay. And click on, this is my domain name. This is my service account. This is my domain name. Then click on next and never expire, sir. Password never expire I'm setting. So this is how they will create the service account. Okay. Service account. So once they create the service account, what they will do, right? They will go to the built-in and they will open the administrator and they will grant administrator level permission to the service account. Okay, to the service account. You can just search. You will get the service account. Okay, ready. So click on OK. So better I need to install one more instance, right? Can I create one more service account? See, sir, one service account is created. Okay, I'm creating one more service account. So you will get to know this, what is the managed service account, all this stuff, sir. Okay. Go to the new, click the user. I'm creating one more service account called to node 2. I don't want to come back again here, sir, when I'm installing one more instance, because I need to show you active cluster, active configuration, right? First we'll go for active passive, then I will go for active. Click on okay, click on finish. So I'm granting built-in administrator permission. Okay. Now done, sir. So I told you, right? Mandatory thing is when you are installing SQL Server, you can't go for local accounts. Definitely, you need the service account. This is the one of the mandatory. Let's and you are thinking that okay, Node 1 is currently owner. I need to install only Node 1, or my application team told that Node 1 is my active server. My Node 1 should be active for this instance, whatever the instance you are installing, right? Node 1 should be active, and you decide that I need to install only on Node 1. No, sir, it's not like that. Okay, whatever the node you can install, go and install it, sir. Finally, you can decide that which node I need to run these services, and remaining nodes will be passive. That node will be active for that instance. Later on, you can decide, sir, while you are installing, don't think that this is my active, this is my passive, this is my owner. I need to install only here and there. Nothing, sir. Go and install whatever the node you can. Okay. So now you are not installing standalone, sir. You need to go for SQL. Okay, new, sir. First time when you are installing SQL Server on top of cluster, SQL on cluster. When you are installing SQL on cluster, first you need to install new SQL Server failover cluster installation. Okay, new SQL Server failover cluster installation. This is very, very important point. When you are installing when you are installing the instance first time, first you need to install new SQL Server failover cluster installation. Okay, and you can close this wizard. You don't need any this wizard, sir. It will open the new wizard. Now you know that license type evaluation. I'm going for evaluation. Then click on next. You need to accept the license terms. Click on next. Okay. So if you wanted to check the updates, you can check that. I don't want to check any updates. Let it be. So when you are installing first time, you need to go for new SQL Server failover cluster installation. Okay. You need to install new SQL Server failover cluster installation. Later on, you can install add node to the failover cluster installation when you are installing passive. So how many nodes your cluster belong to? It's a 3 node cluster, 4 node cluster. How many passives you wanted to maintain, sir? That many times you need to install SQL. Okay, here currently two node, right? I need to install twice. It's not like standalone. Okay, every instance I need to install twice here. Here it is, for example, first I need to install actual installation, then I need to install add node. Add node. Stop me if you're not understanding, sir. Okay. So I created the service account as I told you, right? Service account is the mandatory when you are going to install SQL on cluster. Okay. Now see, sir, it's done some validation. See, okay, it done some validation. So cluster service verification, distribution transaction coordinator. Okay, Microsoft cluster verification error, Microsoft cluster service cluster verification warnings, remote registries, domain controller, Windows firewalls, DNS. Okay, now how the SQL done some validation, sir? How, and I did showing as a past. How this validation has been done, sir? How this validation? From where this got this validation? From where SQL identified this validation? From where this validation has been done, sir? SQL means, okay. Now when you go to the server, respective server, sir, if you go to the respective server, go to the PC, go to C drive, go to Windows, okay. There will be clustered folder will be there. Open the clustered folder. There will be report. Here, there it is a validation. It is a there is a validation cluster validation report. Using this cluster validation report, using this cluster validation report, SQL has been validated the cluster part. Is it clear, everyone? So using this validation report, your SQL has been validated. Your SQL has been validated. In case any one of this failure also, we need to investigate and you need to rerun the validation report again. Okay, maybe you have validated 1 week ago. After the 1 week, you have done some changes. Someone has been done some changes, and there is some warning is there. Okay, which is not fulfilling to install the SQL server. Okay, so again you need to go and run the validation report. Okay, in case if you see any validation kind of failure SQL while you are installing SQL on cluster, then you need to run the validation and let's see what kind of errors you are able to see the validation and you need to fix that validation. Once you've done, then maximum it won't stop, sir. But again, sir, when you are playing with the cluster, especially, sir, couple of things be aware. Okay, couple of things be aware when you are specially working with the clusters. Okay, I will let you know what are the things. Please be aware, uh, because especially some people want to do some experimental, right? Replication is a little tricky when you are doing some experimental. Like cluster is also a little tricky when you are doing some experimental, sir. Okay, if you done something again, if you wanted to fix that issue, you may face lots of challenges while you are fixing the issues. Okay, because there are lot many dependencies are available when you specially go for clusters. Okay, so please be aware when you are doing some experimental. Once you deploy the services and if you want to do some experimental, please be careful, sir. That's point. Please be note down. I will let you know what that experimental. Okay, click on next. Okay, as usually same, sir, but here something you want to know, sir. There is a concept called cluster where services, cluster unaware services. Okay, so this is also one of the most important interview question. While you are installing SQL on cluster, okay, couple of where services, couple of unaware services, couple of unaware services means, okay, see, sir, database engine is compatible. Okay, analysis service is compatible. Okay, full text is compatible. Browser service is compatible. So these are where services. Okay, so on top of cluster, if you are installing SQL on cluster, these services are compatible. So reporting service is not compatible. Integration service is compatible, not compatible. Okay, these are unaware services. Okay, so please be careful what services they are expecting to install, what services your application team is expecting to install on top of SQL on cluster. Okay, in case they are expecting integration service, straight away you can tell that, hey, SQL on cluster, okay, integration service is not compatible, reporting services are not compatible. You need to go for standalone installation only. Okay, couple of services are not compatible when you are installing SQL on cluster. When you are installing SQL on cluster, integration service is not compatible, reporting service is not compatible. Okay, so majorly we'll install database engine, reporting services, analysis services, integration services. Majorly we'll install this five, sir. Out of this, integration service is not compatible, reporting service is not compatible. Please be careful what sort of requirement is your project is requirement is. In case your project is having integration service, reporting service, and they are expecting SQL on cluster installation, straight away you can tell that this is not compatible. You need to go for standalone only. On top of cluster, go for standalone SQL. Sir, on top of cluster, you can go for standalone SQL. On top of cluster, you can go for standalone SQL. Now we are not installing standalone SQL, sir. We are installing SQL on cluster. SQL cluster we are installing. When you are installing SQL cluster, reporting services are not compatible, integration services are not compatible. Analysis service is compatible, sir. Analysis service is compatible. Is it clear, everyone? Yes, no?
Subbu, it is not compatible for Power BI also. Power BI is a reporting tool, right?
No, sir. Reporting services, Power BI, analysis, integration services are not compatible for SQL. Sir, again I told you, right? 5 to 10% only you will get a chance to install SQL on cluster in 2024. In 2024, because almost SQL on cluster is dead. Dead feature. Almost it's a dead feature, sir. Okay? Again, but as a DPA, sir, once again, sir. Okay, I'm back to on. So mostly SQL on cluster is almost dead feature, sir. Maximum 5 to 10% you will get a chance. Okay. Why means there are a lot of compatibility issues with the SQL on cluster. That's the reason we are going for standalone. Okay, we are going for standalone. All the features are compatible on top of cluster. All the features are compatible. Okay. Now this is the one of the most important interview questions, sir, and this is the one of the most important point you need to remember what they are expecting from the installation. If they are expecting SQL on cluster and they are expecting integration service, straight away tell them integration services are not compatible. Mostly integration service only you will get it, sir. Mostly they won't ask reporting services also. This is the one of trickiest point. Okay, clear? Is it clear now? One concept is clear, sir, everyone? No? Yes? Everyone is so silent. Clear? Not clear? What is cluster aware services, cluster unaware services?
So integration and the reporting service not possible on cluster. That's all correct.
C colon cluster. Don't tell cluster, okay? We will get confused. C colon cluster.
SQL and cluster. Okay.
C colon clusters. Okay. Traditional standalone is compatible. So on top of cluster, you can install traditional standalone as well. Okay, this is one of the most important concepts that we need to remember. Database engine, replication. Okay. Full text is also compatible. Analysis service also compatible. And you know the shared features all are compatible, sir. There is no issue. Okay. Let's select. Now, one point. Okay. That's the reason I wanted to go very slowly, sir, this installation. If you understand this one, next installation is very simple. Very, very simple, sir. Okay. First, we'll complete today active passive. Tomorrow, we'll go for active, and other stuff, sir. Mostly, it's almost 9:30, right? Now, see, sir. Subbu, yesterday, last session, you told that SQL, we can't store our data in the local disk, but again, it is going for C drive only. Sir, your binary files can go for local drive. SQL binary files can go for local drive, sir. Okay, local drives. So if you want, you can keep C drive, or I don't want to keep in C drive. I wanted to create a dedicated drive for to store the binary files. Yes, sir, you can create a dedicated drive and to store the binary files. That is also I will show you, sir, in the when we are discussing always on availability group. When we are discussing always on availability group, I will create a dedicated drive for binary files and I will store the data in that binary files. So your binary data can be stored in the local disk. Okay. Even you are installing SQL on cluster. Please keep it in mind. This is very important. Then click on next. Then click on next. So integration services are not compatible. Reporting services are not compatible. Mostly you will see, sir, I will try to update the document, that is a little old document. I will try to update, sir. Now, this is the one thing, sir, what you will see the difference. Okay. When you are installing standalone, you won't get this SQL network name, a tab, a window, sir. You will get only this window. You will get only this window, sir. Now you got one more new window. That is nothing but SQL network name. SQL network name. This is the new window you will see when you are installing SQL Server on top of SQL on cluster. Sorry, when you are installing SQL on cluster, what is the major one more prerequisite, additional prerequisite, sir? You need SQL virtual name along with the instance type. What instance I need to go for? Either I need to go for default instance or named instance. If you are going for named instance, you need to provide the instance name, sir. Next demo is instance name only. Now I'm going for default instance. Okay. But what is the new thing you need to remember? When you are installing SQL on cluster, you need SQL virtual name. You need SQL virtual name. See, sir, you need SQL virtual name. You get the SQL virtual name, SQL virtual IP address. Okay, you need one IP address for SQL. You need one additional name along with the instance name. Okay, I am going to provide batch 43 default. D for default, sir. Default. D for default. Okay, it's a default instance. I'm going for default instance. Is it clear, sir? What is the additional thing you are getting here? You are going to provide the SQL virtual name. SQL virtual name. Using this virtual name only, you are trying to make the authentication to the SQL server. You are trying to make the authentication to the SQL server. Authentication to the SQL server. Okay. Now click on next. Now you will get some new windows, sir. Okay. 3 windows will be new for you. Okay. Where you can't see when you are installing standalone SQL, where you will see only when you are installing SQL on cluster. Okay. One is cluster group, cluster resource group. One is cluster network configuration. Okay. These are the disk selection, network configuration. These are the 3 tabs you will see only when you are installing SQL on cluster. When you are installing SQL on cluster, you will see these 3 tabs new, sir, which you can't see when you are installing SQL on standalone. Okay, SQL on standalone. So this is the name. Okay, nothing but when you open the roles. Okay, when you open the roles here, what is the role you are installing, sir? You are installing SQL. SQL. You are installing SQL, right? That SQL contain a number of resources. See, sir, you selected database engine, replication, agents, analysis services. You selected multiple features, right? While you are installing SQL Server, all the features will be part of this group. You are going to create one group, sir. That group is this group. That group is this group. Okay. Whatever the features you selected, for all that features, you are creating a cluster group, which will be visible under roles. For that group, this is, sir, being it is a default instance, it is going for MS SQL Server. Okay. For different, if you are going for named instance, the name will be different, and it is SQL, right? It is going as a SQL Server. Can I change this name? Yes, sir, you can change it. So you can change whatever name you want. So for example, I can go for whatever name I can go for. Better don't change it, sir. Let it be default. Let it be default, because by seeing here, you can easily recognize, okay, this is my SQL Server role. This is my SQL Server role, and this is my default instance. If you see MS SQL Server, okay, this is my SQL related role, and this is my default instance. So better don't change the name. This is very, very important point. Clear, everyone? No? Yes? Everyone clear, sir? Then click on next. Apart from nothing else you need to do. Now this is one of the most important, sir. Okay. Now disks. Okay. Uh, disk 4 is already used for quorum, sir. You can't use disk 4. Okay. Now out of this, I'm having one disk called MSDT, right? Disk 2 is MSDTC. Disk 2 is MSDT, sir. Rest of the disk are our disk only. So disk 1, disk 2 I can't use, sir, because this is dedicated for MSDDC. Disk 3, disk 5, disk 6. Disk 1 belongs to, okay, disk 1, like one is for backup, one is for TempDB, one is for data files, one is for log files. So totally I created 4 disks for my SQL server, right? I need to assign all disk to the first to the cluster. Okay, to the cluster I already assigned, sir. I already assigned disk to the cluster. Now I am mapping this disk to the SQL. If you're not mapping the disk to the SQL, you can't store your data in this disk. Again, very, very important point, sir. If you forget to select the disk when you are configuring installing SQL Server, you can't store your data in this disk. Okay, in this disk. This is also very important. Of course, later on you can add the disk to the cluster. Later on you can add the disk to the SQL. I will show you that part as well. Now, when you are installing SQL Server, if you forget any disk to add to the SQL, you can't store your data in that disk. Is it clear, everyone? Is it clear, everyone?
So we need to select only for, the disk for data, log, backup, whatever it is only we need to select, correct?
It's not like that, sir. What are the disk you need to map to the, you decide to map to this instance. How many disks you wanted to map to this instance? Go and select all the disks, sir. It's not like data file, log file, backup, tempdb, blah, 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 blah. Nothing. Forget about all the stuff. How many disks I need to map to this instance? Go and map it. You know, right? How many disks I need to map to the instance? All the disks you need to map it, sir. Clear?
Yeah,
No?
what I mean that we don't need to select quorum drive and other thing, correct? Like that. That's what
You
you mean.
can't, sir. You can't add. Firstly, you can't add it. You can't map one disk only for one resource here. One disk for one resource. If you are installing one more instance, can I select any one of these disks? No. Again, you need to create a separate drives. You need to create a separate drives and you need to install one more instance. Can I use one more instance in the same disk? No. Only one instance can use one resource can use one disk, sir. One resource can use one disk.
Okay. Like quorum drive, when you select it, says like okay.
You can't use this disk to the SQL now. That's the reason the backup drive has been back, sir. What it done SQL created a quorum on the backup drive, right? Okay, because that is the reason I changed it after forming the cluster. I changed it because I need to use that disk for backup. If the disk stores the quorum, I can't use that disk to the SQL.
Yeah, got it.
Others, everyone is so silent. Getting Sunil, Neeraja, Kumari, Chaitanya, getting, not getting? Okay. Then click on next. Now, this is also one new wizard you are getting, sir. Okay. This is the one new wizard you will get. Here nothing but you need to map the IP address. So I am going to dedicatedly map one IP address. So when you are installing SQL on cluster, what are the information you need to get it apart from what you know? One is SQL virtual name, SQL IP address. Okay. Okay. And majorly how many disk I need to map, sir. Disk is very important. Okay. Disk is also very important. So 10.1.1. I'm going for 11. Okay. I think I went for 15. Okay, 15 I went for cluster. 11 is free, sir. Currently 11 is free. For example, you wanted to get whether this IP address is somewhere is using or not, Subbu. Okay, what you can do, go to command prompt. You don't know, sir, whether that IP is using by some other resource or not. Open the command prompt. Okay, ping the IP address. Okay, see, you are not getting response. You are not getting any response. Okay, that means this IP address is no one is using. This IP address no one is using, sir. Okay, no one is using. For example, if you go for 15, okay, let's go for here, sir. We need to do many things. Okay, ping, not ping, sir, CMD. Okay, ping 10.1.1.15. Come on. Oh, I need to map it properly. Okay, let it be, sir. Better I can do one more thing. See, for example, if I'm going for 6, okay, you are getting some response, right? If you're getting response, feel that this IP address is using somewhere. Feel that this IP address is using somewhere. So if you're not getting response, maximum in real world, that IP address is not being using. So of course, who will provide you, sir? Network team will provide the IP address and you will map that IP address. But better if you wanted to just check if that IP address been using or not, better go for the ping, sir. Better go for the ping. Okay, is it clear, everyone? Now I need to provide the SQL IP address. So first thing what I done, I provided the virtual name. Okay, I provided the SQL virtual name. Now I provided the disk. I selected all the disk. I created the cluster resource. I'm going to create the cluster resource group. Along with I'm going to provide the cluster IP address. So when you are installing SQL on cluster, you need a SQL virtual name, SQL IP address. These are the two mandatory things, sir. And rest everything will be traditional. There is nothing changed, sir. There is nothing changed. Everything will be traditional. Now, one more thing very important is when you go for analysis service, database engine reporting services, you should go for the service account. You should not go for the local accounts. This is one very important, sir. See, I already know my service account, right? Oh, sorry. Access SQL node 1. Let's copy it, sir, and provide the IP address, provide the password. Okay. And one more thing is very important is always database engine agent analysis will be in the manual mode only. You can't change it to automatic. See, sir, I can't change it to automatic. This is also one of the most important interview question. So what is the services status when you are installing SQL on cluster? When you are installing SQL on cluster, what is the service status? Okay. What is the service status means you need to tell it will be in the manual mode. Always it will be in the manual mode. Can I change to automatic? No, sir. You should not change it to automatic. You should not change to automatic. Okay. Now, whatever collation you want, you can go for collation, sir. Nothing will be changed. Okay. Nothing will be different. What collation they are expecting, go for the same collation, sir. No need to worry about the collation. Basically, we'll go for default collation until unless they will highlight you. I wanted to change the collation. You will change the collation, sir. Otherwise, we'll go for the default collation only. We'll go for default collation. And rest everything, see, sir, everything will be changed. Nothing here change. Okay. And let's go for add current user. And if you wanted to grant the permit, okay, let it be, sir. Let's create a group. Let's create a group, sir, from Active Directory. New group. Okay, and I'm going to add gda.sql.lg, for example, local group, domain local group. Let's go for local group. They will create the global group. They will create the universal group as well. LG, GG, UZ. Okay. Local groups, global groups, universal groups. Click on OK. Who, sir? Active Directory people will create. You won't create any group, sir. And once being that is a SQL team group, what you can do, go to the built-in administrator, go to the member, add that group here also, sir. dba.sql sql.lg. Click on search. Okay. By default, that group will be object group will be disabled. Oh, group is selected. What is that group I created, sir? Sorry. Oh, SQL. I think sql.dba.uz. sql.dba.lg. Hey, what is a group we created? 1 second. dba.sql.lg. Okay. Let's add into the built-in administrator. dba.sql.lg. Why? Okay, group is selected. Let's go for enter directory, then check name. Come on here. Ah, why? Go to advanced. Okay. Hmm. Mysterious. Why it's not showing? Let me delete it. Let me recreate, sir, once again. db.sql. See, let's go for it. See. Okay. db.sql.uz. Go for administrator. Go to the member. Click on add. UZ. Click on checkbox. Why LG is not? Oh, we can't. Okay. Now I'm adding our groups are into the. Hey, where it is? I'm adding. Go to the SQL. Now I can add our group as well, sir. Our group as well. Check the name. Okay. Now see, I don't want grant the individual, sir. I can add complete our group in real world. You will add complete group. This is how Active Directory people will create the group from the Active Directory, and they will add our group into the built-in administrator level, because we are the people who will connect to the massive number of servers, right? Okay, to perform all the SQL related stuff either from the Windows level or from the SQL level, right? So they will create the group, okay, rather than granting individual permissions. We will create the group and we will add the members to the group and we will grant the permission. Again, I will come back, sir, this concept. Okay, and this is the one thing. And if you want to create the mixed authentication, you can go on enable the mixed authentication mode, sir. Okay, this is a traditional installation only, nothing is changed. Okay, go to the data directories. Go to the data directories. See, sir, all are going for Z drive only. I don't want to go for Z drive, sir. Let's data files. I need to go for G drive. Okay, G drive, data files, I need to go for G drive, but better, what I can do, I'll came into the node 2. See, sir, all are came to the node 2 now currently. So node 2. Earlier it is in node 1. Now it's automatically moved to node 2. Sir, still we not yet installed SQL Server because when it is validating SQL, it will do the failover all the disk from wherever it is standing to the where you are going to install. Which node you are going to install, it will do the failover all that earlier. So before I start the cluster installation, all my disks are in the node 1, correct? And we think that, okay, I need to install SQL only on the node 1. Okay, no, not like that, sir. Where whatever server you wanted to install, go and install SQL Server. Okay, later on you can decide which node I need to make it as active, which node I need to make it as a passive. So better I can do one thing. I can create the folders for as per the best practice. MS SQL, MS SQL. Okay, and I can create the data. I can create the data drive. Okay, like same, I will go to the log and I will go and create the MS SQL and I can create the log drive. Log, that is the one best thing we need to follow. I can go to the tempdb and I can go and store MS SQL and I can go for tempdb. I don't want to create the data file tempdb, log file tempdb. Instead of that, I'm directly going for tempdb. The folders up to your wish, sir. You can create as per the best practice, okay? So go and create MS SQL and create the backups. Here you can do one thing. So here you can create backups. Under the backups, you can create the system databases folder and you can create the user database folder as well. Later on when you are taking the backups, okay? Now I created all the folders, all the drives. Now what I need to do? I need to go and grant the permission to the my service account. Okay, I am granting permission to the my service account. Go to the security, grant the permission, sir. So access SQL node 1. Okay, check. Okay, full control to the folder I'm going to grant the permission. Like same, you can go to the L drive, grant the permission to the service account.
This task is mandatory.
Yes, sir. To avoid, okay, on sudden restart, sudden failures, sometimes the permissions will disappear. Okay, these are all best practice you need to follow. Node 1. You know it, sir, because I granted the service account active directory administrator level, right? Agree, not agree? I granted permission at active directory administrator level. Basically, you know it, sir. Again, if our time is worse, sometimes SQL will play like anything. Especially security is one of the biggest concern for us. Access SQL node 1. Okay, half of the done is done, sir. Okay, now you can go to here and choose the right folder, sir. Now you need to just change the folders apart from nothing else. Data drive, I need to go for MS SQL. Okay, and the data files will go for data drive. Data files will go for data drive. Log files will go for log drive. Backups will go for backup drive. Okay, tempdb will go for T drive. T drive. Okay, yeah, that's it, sir. So you need to select the data drive folders, log drive folder. We already aware of these concepts, all these concepts. Then click on next. Apart from nothing, max drop, memory, file stream. No need to worry, sir. We'll discuss in upcoming sessions. And analysis services also. If you create a dedicated drive, okay, let it be. I don't want to go for temp DB. Hey, hey, come on, come on. One second, sir. Sorry. Temp DB. Okay, nothing is happening. So analysis service. If you created any analysis service dedicatedly, one drive, go for that drive, or otherwise let it be default drive. Let it be. Okay. Add current user and go to the data directory. And if you want to change, it's going for Z drive. Z drive is for backup. Under the backup folder, there is analysis service folder, OLAP. Let it be same folder, sir, because we not yet created dedicated drive for analysis services. Let it be. And this concept also I will talk when we are discussing analysis concept. Okay, analysis services. Click on next. Let it be default. Click on next. And finally, we selected everything, sir. We done everything. Then click on install. Now you are going to install SQL Server. Once this installation is completed, you can install one passive node, sir. Questions? So it's easy. It's any difficulty, sir, you faced? No, right? It's very easy. Only couple of things you are getting additionally. What are the couple of things, sir? One is service accounts are mandatory and services will be in the manual mode. You need SQL virtual name. Okay, you need shared disks. You need SQL IP address. Rest everything will be similar. Yeah, Vijay.
Yeah, you have given one IP address 11, no? That is for network. So
SQL
that
IP
one,
address. SQL IP
that
address.
is for okay. So for each node, we need to give extra IP address for that SQL.
No, each instance you need to provide IP
Each,
address, not each instance. Yes.
not each node. Okay.
No, not each node. Each instance. Sir, both node are single only. Okay, both nodes. So already you install default instance. Can I go and install default instance on node 1? No. No, sir. Both nodes are same. It's not like a standalone SQL, sir. It's like a SQL on cluster. Once we complete this one, what we can do, we'll go for, we'll just open the setup file, sir, apart from nothing else. Okay. So meanwhile, I need to do one thing, sir, because I need to install one more instance, right? Yes or no? If I wanted to show you active cluster, I need to install one more instance. Currently, how many disk I created? All the disk has been consumed, sir. All the disk has been consumed. Okay. So one for MHDDC, one for Quorum, and rest of all the disk. So now what I'm going to do? Let's create one disk, sir. Instead of that, okay, let it be. Tomorrow I will do, sir. I don't want to overload you. Let it be. Tomorrow I will explain, sir. It won't take more time. Just take 30 minutes. After that, we'll go for the theoretical part explanation. Mostly by Monday, we will complete the cluster along with the troubleshooting. So
Subbu,
instance file installation.
hello.
IFI is nothing but instance file installation. If you want, you can install it, sir.
And, what does it mean? So how it
That's what.
works in real environment?
That's what I will. There is a dedicated session for IFI, instance
Okay,
file
okay, sir.
information.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Like I told you, right? You will get all the futures concepts next week onwards. Let's complete all festival by today, sir. Yeah, Chaitanya, you were asking something?
Subbu,
Yeah.
if we go more than two nodes, means more than two instance, in that case, there is any performance issue we can see?
No, sir.
No performance issue.
Nothing.
Okay, thank you.
What do you mean by performance, sir? That's what.
Performance means actually, if you see in the replication, it has to go to there and need acknowledgement.
Here,
So
where it
that
is
kind
going,
of
sir? It is here where it is
no,
going. Nothing, right?
I
It's
don't
a
know, sir.
just an
That's why I'm
instance.
asking.
No, it's a just an instance. See, you once you
Instance.
complete the installation, you will get to know. That's what
Okay,
I
sir.
am not discussing any theoretical part.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Once complete the installation, then we'll go for theoretical part. Now you can build log shipping, you can build mirroring, and you can build the application on top of this.
Okay, sir.
On passive, no need to do this much, sir. Only in active, only you need to do all this stuff. Means when you are installing first time, you need to do many things, but when you are installing add node, nothing. You need to do more. It won't take that much time as well. Yeah, almost we're done. So now we completed the installation, actual installation, sir. SQL and cluster actual installation we completed, right? Now see, now we done only currently on node 2. See, if you go to here, okay, if you open the Failover cluster manager, go to the roles, you will see currently SQL Server, MS SQL Server, and this is currently running on node 2. Who is the owner, sir? Node 2. And if you go to the resources also, currently this is completely, see, this many things are available. Tomorrow I will talk on more on this one. Now currently this is completely on node 2 only. We not yet install any passive. So if you go to right click here, go to the properties, okay, see your preferred, okay, how I can say, let it be, let's show in a different way, sir, you can understand now. So for example, I want to do, so right click here, let's move, click on move. One second, sir. Let's select the node. See, currently, okay, it is showing node 1, node 2 because currently we install node 2 and node 1 is also part of cluster. But can I do failover on node 1? No, you can't do failover to the node 1, sir, because I haven't installed any SQL services here. See, if you search for SQL, nothing is available currently here in node 1, where you install completely in the node 2 install. Now, if something happened to node 2, if something happened to this instance, node 1 need to take responsibility, right? Node 1 need to take responsibility, right? For that, what you need to do means on node 2, you need to install, add node to the failure cluster installation. This is the very important, sir. Okay, add node to the SQL Server Failover cluster installation. See, if something happened to node 2, okay, node 1 will take responsibility. But without installing SQL Server, will node 1 take responsibility? No, nothing. Okay, no, sir. Now you need to install a SQL binary files. Sir, here in the node 2, you no need to install anything, sir. You need to just install binary files. SQL binary files. Here you are not selecting futures, service accounts, blah 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 blah. Nothing you are selecting, sir. In the node 1, you are just installing the binary files. So how many passives you want to maintain? So for example, I'm having one more node. I'm having one more node. I'm having one more node. So I want to install, okay, passive in 4 nodes. Every node you need to go and you need to install the binary files. Okay, binary files, sir. First, you completed this installation, new SQL Server Failover cluster installation, where you completed node 2. First, I completed new SQL Server Failover cluster installation. Next, what you need to do, you need to install, add node to the Failover cluster installation. Add node to the Failover cluster installation. This you need to select. So now this you are using this, you are installing binary files for this instance. For this instance, you are installing the binary files. Means see, here nothing, sir. If you click on next, you just select the edition, select the license. Okay, here it will just check the same validation. Okay, it will check the validation. Nothing to worry, and it will check. Sir, here nothing to you need to do nothing here. In previous installation, you selected the futures, SQL virtual name, SQL IP address, service accounts, the passwords. You selected you provided the binary file location, data files location, log file location. Everything you done when you are installing actual installation. When you are installing actual installation, you done everything. Now you no need to do many things are here, okay? Because you are just installing the binary files. For which instance? Here you need to select for which instance I need to install binary files. Okay. Then what about data, Subbu? You remember data is storing in the shared disk. Data is storing in the shared disk. If something happened to this node 2, this disk will also move to the node 1. Okay. So you no need to worry about the data. Here you need to worry about the binary files. That binary files only you are installing, sir. Okay. For node 2, for node 1, you are going to install the binary files for what instance? Which instance you are installing? That is only you need to select. Everything it will check, sir. Click on next. Nothing is nothing different. You will see. For this instance, you are installing the binary. So when you scroll down, currently I'm having only one instance. That's the reason it is showing one instance, sir. But if you are having multiple instance, for which instance you wanted to install binary files. This is very, very important point, sir. On the passive node, on the passive node, you no need to do many things, sir. Here, just you need to install the binary files. You already installed your complete installation, sir, in the node 2. Node 2, you already installed node 2. You already installed complete installation. Now what you are do? See, for this is your instance name, logical instance name. These are all features you install. Where you install, sir? Node 2 SQL you install. Currently on Node 2 you install. But Node 1 it is not showing. In case if Node 2 goes down, Node 1 can't help you, sir, because Node 1 there is no SQL installation. So now for Node 1 you are going to install the passive. Act 2 you already done, sir. You perform the installation. For this installation, you are going to install add node. Using add node, you can install the binary files. Is it clear, sir? How many nodes you wanted to install? You need to go for every node and you need to perform this installation. So in case node 2 goes down, node 1 will take responsibility. If node 1 also goes down, node 3 will take responsibility. If node 3 goes down, node 4 will take responsibility. If node 4 goes down, node 5 will take responsibility. If node 5 also down, entire your SQL will down, sir. Entire your SQL will down. So how many passives you want to maintain? Okay, that many times you need to install the SQL server. Is it clear or not, everyone? So what option you need to select? Add node to the failover cluster installation. New SQL Server installation you already installed, sir. Now you need to add. By using add, you are going to install the binary files. Here, nothing to done, sir. You no need to do anything. Just choose which instance you want to install the passive. Then click on next. Click on next. Here, very installation is very simple, sir. Very minimal. Uh, it's not like actual installation, sir. Here, see, automatically the IP address will pick. Okay, everything will pick automatically, sir. Nothing you need to do. Only you need to provide the service account password, sir. Okay, you need to just provide the service account password. Apart from nothing else, you need to do. Which instance you wanted to passive, and what is the service account password. Apart from this, nothing you need to do, sir. Apart from this, nothing you need to do. Nothing, sir. Apart from nothing else here, no features, no SA accounts, nothing, sir. Here you already done the installation. For that instance, in the node 1, you are going to install the binary files and just click on install. Whatever the features, whatever the things you install, same thing will be replicated to the node 1 as well. Now, in case node 2 goes down, node 1 will take responsibility. If node 1 goes down, node 2 will take responsibility. Once you complete your installation, later on, you need to select which node I need to make it as a active, which nodes are I need to make it as a passive. So before installation, don't think that this is node I need to make it as active. This is the node I need to make passive. I need to install like this only. No, sir. Let it be complete the installation. Later on, you can decide which node I need to make it as active, which node I need to make it as a passive. Yeah. Questions?
Subbu, so application will connect to that SQL IP you have given, right? Network IP.
I will tell you, sir. Well, let it be
Okay.
complete, okay?
Okay.
Application team will connect using Using network name, sir. You created a network name, right?
Yeah, that's SQL network name only, right?
Yes. They will
Oh,
connect using network names.
oh,
They won't connect with the node 1, node 2, node 3, not with instance names. They will connect using network names. SQL network name. SQL network name. Okay. Go to browse, expand. You will see the network name batch 43D. Okay. You will connect using network. See, sir, I won't connect using node 1, node 2, sir. It's a default instance, right, Subbu? Can I try to connect with node 2? Okay. Can I try to connect with the dot? Dot is also default instance only, right? Okay. But mostly in real world, you will use to connect using virtual names. Virtual name. You should not use like a traditional. Just try to connect using virtual name. Virtual name, I mean, pass it as a connection string, and virtual IP address, I will pass it as a connection string. Is this clear, everyone? Let it be, sir. Let it be.
Virtual name where we are giving before installation of first instance. During that time, we given virtual name, correct? That is a name.
When you are installing SQL Server, you will provide the virtual name, right? That name only, sir. When you are installing,
Okay,
there is
okay,
a new window. That virtual name.
okay.
It's not cluster virtual name, sir. No. Okay. See, when you go here, when you open dsr.msc, when you go to the compute, see, in Active Directory, there is one name is registered, see, batch 43D. Okay. This is for SQL. This is for cluster.
Okay, good. Okay.
So what is your understanding should be, don't conclude when you are installing in the starting phase, this is my active, this is my passive, I need to install only this one, I need to install only. No, sir. Whatever the server, you can go and install it. Finally, you can decide which node I need to make it as active, which nodes I need to make it as a passive. Okay? If you understand this logic, you are almost good at installation SQL Server, sir. There is no much challenge you will face when you are installing SQL. Is it clear, everyone? No? Yes? How to build the Windows Failover cluster? How to create the disk witness quorum? And how to install SQL on top of cluster, SQL on cluster? How to install new SQL on cluster? How to install add node on cluster? SQL on cluster. Clear, everyone? No? Yes?
yeah, yes.
So tomorrow we'll complete. Tomorrow first half we'll do one more installation, sir. Then we'll go for theoretical part. So once we complete theoretical part, you will become strong for understanding. Okay. So once we complete, again stop the VMs are on the cloud portal. Okay, don't forget to stop the VMs once. Assume you practice for now for 2.5 hours. I practiced. Okay, I need to take some break or I need to go to office. Okay, what you can do again, stop the VMs. Again tomorrow, once you when you are going to start the practice, again start the VMs. So once this installation is complete, I will stop the VMs and tomorrow we'll discuss active installations. Most of the things tomorrow we'll discuss. By Monday, yeah, Monday we'll complete the cluster maximum, and Tuesday we'll start the always on availability groups. Always on availability group will take a lot of time for us. Lot. Many things we'll discuss on top of always on only. Security, like TD, column level encryption, always encryption, uh, patchings. Many things we'll discuss with always on availability group. Okay, don't miss any session, please. Okay, please be available. You will clarify many things with always on availability group. Okay. From here onwards, we won't give maximum break, sir. Yeah, done. Okay, let me stop here, sir. Okay, let me stop here. Tomorrow, can I continue, sir? Everyone?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So can you do one more thing like a failover and failback? Like
Yeah,
failover.
definitely, sir. Currently, it is running in Node 2, right? Okay. All my disks are in Node 2, right? See, currently all in my disks are Node 2. Now, what I'm going to do? Right click here, move, select node, node 1. Now say it is failing to node 1. Now my services are coming to offline pending. My virtual name, my disk is also going to offline, online. Okay. See, everything will come. Now node 1 will become the active, sir. Okay. See, all the disk I'm able to see in the node 1. All the disks I'm able to see in the node 1. It will take some time. It will come, sir. See, coming on. Everything will come online. Yeah, done. Now node 1 is currently active. Node 2 is our passive. That's it, sir. Nothing. Your data is moving here and there, basically. Okay. You install binary files on local server. You install binary files on local server. Your data is moving from node 1 to node 2, node 1 to node 2, node 1 to node 2. I hope you got it, Chaitanya. Chaitanya, right? Ask.
Yeah, yes, thanks.
You got it? No
Yes.
worries. Tomorrow we'll discuss a lot. I need to discuss a lot about failure as well. That is also one of the interview question. Okay. What is the sequence? What is the state of while it is failoring? What are the status you will see? Everything they will ask you, sir. Yep. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. I thought I need to postpone session to tomorrow, but thanks. Okay. Don't miss, sir. Next 21 days, 22 days. Okay. We'll discuss a lot. Yeah. See you
So
tomorrow,
what
sir.
is the replacement of Failover cluster?
Always on.
Always on. Okay, super.
Very simple answer, sir. That's the reason first I'm completing cluster, then I will go for always on. Okay? Yeah. See you tomorrow, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
Once again, happy Diwali, okay? Please be safe.